we have the print actions page almost completely done now. The last thing is the printer settings. We made a few default descriptions here, but ultimately it's this dialog we want. So if we're in the print job, we've remade this, but clicking, say, here to select a printer profile or printer settings, this is the page we need to remake. Now the point of this page is to specify specific printers, paper sizes, colours, things like that, based on the paper size specified in the drawing of the CAD file. So currently how it works is you click the drop down, it scans for all the printers on the computer, shows them, and then when you select them, you can now select the specific paper sizes to that printer, enter custom widths and heights if you like, and then orientation is default of landscape and portrait. The colour is default to SolidWorks, but the source tray is also specific to the printer. So ignoring the actual code behind for now, let's just remake this UI. And because it's kind of not modern as such, but it is technically okay for what we want to do, it's just a large dump of information, and I think this UI actually suits this kind of data entry style, we'll just remake it almost as is. So what I think we'll do is we'll do it in a dialog box. The first thing we're going to need is a button to actually create a new printer settings. So we want this kind of button, new print actions. Let's just search for that. And we'll just copy and paste this button. And we want to paste it where it says select the profile. So we want to just paste it in here. And obviously that is specified in a grid, not a stack panel. So we're going to have to alter the grid to fit this in. We could just specify a stack panel, but there's no point. We'll just stick it with the grid for now. So grid.row will be 10. This one will bump to 12. And then we'll just edit the definition up here, add an extra auto, and 10. We'll get rid of the margin because we have margins in the grid. And we also want to get rid of the bottom margin on the text. And the button isn't styling the same as this one. And that's because I've somehow copied the wrong thing. So we'll copy that one. And then I'm not sure which one I copied there, but it wasn't that. Paste that in. Change that to 10. And there we go. We now have the same button style, but instead of new print action, we'll say new print settings. This can now bind to a command that we want to pop up a new dialog for us. So this says new print item command. We'll do new print settings command. And then we just need now the view model to add this to. So that will be the print actions view model, or the actions print view model. Or in fact, no, it isn't. It's the actions page view model. The top level handles that. We have the new print item here. We'll copy and paste that. Paste it in here, and we'll have add new print settings. Now we can ignore those for now. Compile, make sure everything's okay. Which it is. So now we want to pop up a dialog, but this time fill it with a big UI like this. So it is basically a confirm dialog. It's got a cancel and a save button, but then there's custom UI in, and we want this copies down here. So we might just make a custom dialog, or we might inherit from this and move this copies to up here, which I think might as well be done. So we have the confirm dialog view model. If we want to see where that's used, we can just see here, we've done this code. So what we'll do is we'll just copy this for now, or in fact even just copy the whole lot. Go up to the new print, paste this in. And now it won't be a confirm dialog view model because this is just title and message, but we will override this class and make a custom UI on top of it. For that, let's open the confirm dialog view, copy and paste it, and we'll call this the new printer, or not even new printer, let's just call it printer settings view. And then we'll need a confirm dialog view model. We'll copy and paste that, and we'll call this printer settings view model, so it matches the view. This will now override the confirm dialog view model. So we now don't need the title, text, confirm, cancel, all that's kind of built in. Whether we use it or not, it's built in for us. Don't need the cancel command. Don't need the busy command or the confirmed. So we get all this behavior built in. We have an onConfirm callback still. We have the confirm here that handles all the logic and the cancel. So literally none of this needs to be in our code, which is all now handled for us. And we just need to care about the custom view part of it. So let's just make sure we name that class right. We've got this view here. And just to confirm it's working, let's rename this to printer settings view model. This should all compile and run. But just so we know it is the printer settings, let's just change the title at the moment to printer settings. This is saying we've got a duplicate directive, which is here, because the data type is printer settings view model. And the class is also printer settings view here. And the code behind it needs to change to printer settings view. With that, have we got everything? No, still don't. Well, we technically do, just copy and pasted this dialog. So this will now be a new printer settings view model. And in fact, we could have just left the title as it was. So let's just go back and change the title back to the binding of the title. And then in here, we can just simply say printer settings. This needs to be an async task async. And we're getting there slowly. There we go. Again, this, because it says confirm by default, we'll alter all this UI in a moment. We just want to see if the button currently works and it pops up and it's using the new view model that overrides the confirm. So go to actions, new print dialog. There we go. And it says printer settings. So we've now got a new pop-up. This still is basically a default confirm dialog, but we now at least have the logic and the code ready to make it custom. This means we can now focus on this view, and even though it looks like a confirm dialog at the minute and acts like one, we do have a printer settings view model, so we can now add new stuff to this view model and bind it to this custom view. And that's where we now want to add things like this: name, description, copies, and then a list of another view model with all of these properties inside. Let's make the UI first, and then we'll do the data model after. Because we already have the description here, we don't need the icon. So we can look at the icon here and just get rid. The text we want to change to say printer settings, but in the view model this time, not in the pop-up. So we'll go to the view model, create a constructor, and in here we can override the title to print settings, the description. Was it description? Message, we called it. The message for this will want to be specify the printer to use or printer settings to use for each paper size, or leave as default. And then if we compile that and look at the view, that should update for us. So we've made use of the existing properties now, and that kind of matches this top piece. Now we need the name and description. And then here at the minute we have a grid, which, yeah, I guess works. So we'll now need a grid in here. And what we'll want is a grid for the two buttons. So this will be a column definition of auto and then 10 for spacing and then start a fill. I don't think we need anything else. The row definitions will have 2. So that's just going to be auto, 10, auto. This will need to be in the row. So at the minute we have 2 rows, which is for the message and then status that's currently hidden that we don't see. And then the buttons. So we probably want the content to be above the status. This is like the hidden status stuff. So let's move that to here. And you can see the status. If we cut that and type something, the status is this. We want that to stay with the buttons. So this grid will want to be in row 1. And then nudge all the others down. This is the only thing with grids. You have to kind of alter all your grids as you go. Just add another auto here. And now inside the grid, we can have a label with a content name. This will be, well, yeah, that's what it really is. It's the name. And let's just add a bit of space into this one. So I'll just do a background of Redmond so we can see it. I want a margin of top and bottom of 10, say just a little nudge. After this, we want a text box, I believe it is. This will be grid.row1 to move it over. No, sorry, grid.column1. And that already doesn't look right. Why is that crushed? Oh, because we've got the 10 margin between. That's meant to be column 2. There we go. This needs to be vertically aligned. Center. There we go. Now we have the name. And then we probably want a max width on this because this is going to get quite long otherwise. So probably 300 and then horizontal alignment left. Okay, I guess we just specify the width then. There we go. And then repeat that. This can be grid.row1, .row0, .row0, grid.row1. This will be the description. And again, we've done something wrong. Same thing again, we've got the padding there, so we need that to be row 2, not 1. And there we have the name and description. And now we want this big items collection, if you will. We've got the copies as well. We'll put that near the buttons, I think. And then we'll just remake all of this. We'll just specify the grid.columns as well for good measure to stop the IntelliSense complaining. Because the next control wants to be a list, it's much easier to now just go and make the view model to be able to bind to something than making an items control and doing the binding a completely different way. The printer view model we've already got, so we can just add some extra properties. If we go to the confirm dialog, we could copy, for example, one of these, paste in here, and then we will want name. And we don't want a default value. And description. Let's just leave them as blank so they're not complaining in the constructor that they're not initialized. And then we could bind the boxes before we forget as well. So the text box, you'll want the content or the text to the name property, and this one to the description property. Those are bound. And now we'll need a copies as well, actually, before we forget that. That'll be an integer copies, and we'll set that to 1. And then in here now, by the buttons, so we just scroll down to the 2 buttons. It's here, so we've got the confirm and cancel there in a stack panel. So we just see where that is. Apparently that's not working. Where's my UI not updating? There we go. So there's the buttons at the minute, a stack panel. And if we want the copies over here, we're going to have to do a grid to stretch it instead of a stack panel. So let's just change this to a grid. And then you don't have orientation, you don't have spacing. We'll now have column definitions, and we will want auto for the copies entry, a filler area, a 10 to make sure the spacing regardless of filling, Then you'll have the first button, then a space of 10, then the last button. There's only one row, so we don't need to specify that. And now this button lives on grid.column, and that is the cancel button, so it will be copies, autofill, padding, then the no button. So this will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Then the yes button, or the confirm button, will be 5. There we go. And we can remove this background now, and let's just do show grid lines to true for now, so you can see inside of here. The only thing as well is this is visible is set on the entire grid at the minute. So if we put copies in here and we get busy, it's going to hide these. So we need to move this is visible to each button to just hide the buttons, specifically not our copies entry. And now inside here, we can add the extra copies. That's just going to be, in fact, we probably want an extra one here. Or we can do a mini stack panel. Let's just do a mini stack panel. Orientation, horizontal, spacing 10. Just to show you the multiple ways of doing it, I guess. Inside here now, you've got a label with the content, copies. We want the, that should be over this side actually. Why is that not there? Oh, because horizontal alignment right needs to be removed now. There we go. The content, no. Stack panel, vertical alignment center. There we go. And then we want a spinner like this, which I bet Avalonia's got built in. And it does here, called button spinner. So let's just copy this and paste him in here. And there you can see we've got a button spinner that we've now got a style grade. So we will use location right. There we go. And then the value. Oh, great. Does that not even do anything? And I'm guessing not, because it immediately says a lot of coding is going to be required. Or we can actually spot, I didn't notice this, there's a numeric up down. That's going to save us a lot of work actually. So we just need to do numeric up down, value is bound to copies. And now, oh yeah. Why does nothing ever work the way you want it to? How has an integer got a 0 on it? And we need it to be an unsigned integer so we can't go lower. So surely there's some property to style this thing. Ooh, format string. So is that like, yes, there we go. Format string. Cool. And now, can we limit this if we change copies, which I didn't really think about, to an unsigned integer? Will that work? And the unsigned is obviously just doesn't allow it to have a sign, a minus sign, so it can't be negative. Compile that. No, it still has these issues. And one thing I didn't notice is they actually have the minimum and maximum, so that will actually fix the problem. At least of the going over. So if we set a minimum to 0, or in fact minimum to 1, you can't have no copies. Maximum, I'm just going to limit to something realistic. So at most, I reckon somebody wants maybe 1,000 pages if it's crazy. This now should hopefully fix the visual errors where you can never enter anything wrong, hopefully. Let's just confirm that first. There we go. So you can't go past that now, but can you type? Oh, really? You can still type in. I mean, I guess when you click away, it goes away. So it's not the end of the world. That's probably better than, yeah, that'll do. It's just the fact you can still type. I mean, I could get over that and prevent typing, but I guess that's for the fact that you could do, say, 7.3. And if you type in 7 point, currently that's invalid, but you're still typing. So they've probably done that for the reason. So only when you tab away correct. So now we just need to style this. It doesn't look too bad, but it needs to match like the text boxes completely. So really we just need to change these arrows To do that, let's just copy, say, the checkbox, call it numeric up down, I think it was called. Yep, get this exact file. So we're effectively overriding the template. Inside here, paste the actual Avalonia one in, and you can see then all of the examples. We will want to just update the preview to have the same style that we used to. There we go, so now we can see how it would look, which is correct at the minute. Add it to the app before we forget. We'll put it in alphabetical order here, numeric up, down, and now we should be able to style it custom. We want the enter text is the enter in here, part spinner, part text box. So it's this text box we want to change, and it just needs to match the existing text box. And the beauty of that should be if we just remove the custom stuff like background, border brush, foreground brush, and this should style as a plain text box. So let's just see if at least the text box looks the same now. Go into actions, new, and there you go, that now matches a text box completely, so it's the same style. And now for the buttons, it's actually a subcontrol of button spinner, so that's it for the numeric, that's fine. We now need to make another one, so we'll copy and paste this. This is called a button spinner, so we'll call it button spinner. Do the same, go to the app, copy and paste, button spinner. And then inside the button spinner, we will copy the original template, show at the side, go to the top here, paste in this visual again, and there's the spinner. And now for this, same idea, choosing styles now, not the properties, but button spinner there, background, are they not buttons? Repeat button, there we go, so the background, border brush, the border thickness, the foreground. Let's start styling it more like we want. Corner radius isn't doing anything. The other repeat button, background, border brush, border thickness, foreground. So the idea is we want to let this bubble up to just the button style so it starts to match. So that all looks okay there, but we're still not, I don't know, to be honest, what we want it to look like. I can't visualize it yet. Let's compile and see what it looks like in situ. Doesn't really blend, there's still grey. We need to get rid of that grey, and I think to be honest, if we got rid of the grey and maybe made them text white, it would be okay. So that's that background, but the problem with that is that's just bubbling up to nowhere and the background's gone. So then these, at least in this example, just the button spinner, doesn't look right for the text entry. So maybe we just set the background here to the same as whatever the text would be, which if we go to text box and look for the background, it's primary background. So if we copy this style, and then the background of this control, do primary background, that's fine for that. And then foreground, I presume there's one, we'll change that to primary foreground. So we're almost styling this like a text box. There we go. Border brush, same thing. We need the default gradient. There we go. I almost want rounded corners on them buttons though. Something's telling me I want to round those buttons off. Let's maybe just do 6 for now on there. That will do. And we should probably move that into a property, but for now it's fine. Now we have the decrease button and the increase button, that's these two. So we probably want a little corner radius on these as well, maybe. Which doesn't seem to do anything. And that's because it's got a theme set. We definitely need to remove the theme. There we go. So remove the theme from the button. It now defaults to exactly what the buttons are like. But because when they're up and downs, they don't really match, we can now custom style the corner radius. So if we did 0, there we go. We could enter, I don't know, start with 3 all around first. And then this is always going to be on the right side. So that means we want the left to be 0 probably, even though it's not updating again. And the bottom left to be 0. Oh, I'm editing the wrong one. So this side rather. So the left side you want to be 3, 0, 0, 3. And the right side will then want to be the opposite. So we'll want that to be 0, 3, 3, 0. And then you've got little corners there. In fact, I think what you want is small ones on the edges. Yes, there we go. So it matches in. That will be 6, 3, 3, 6. There we go. That's nice. So you got subtle rounded edges. And then, to be honest, I think the black might work. So let's just try the foreground arrows first as white. I think I actually do prefer them black. Let's see. Can't make my mind up. Let's see if it used here, what it looks like. Yeah, and the background's also black here, which it isn't here, strangely. No, I think I like them default, to be honest, as the black arrows, so that's fine. I think that's style correct. We just now have this slightly strange thing here. We've got a black background. So why is that? We've got something cascading down. Let's try, we've got a background set there. Set that to red and see what happens. So the red's coming through, but the primary background, which should be the normal colour, is showing as black. I'll show you here. Oh no, there isn't a black, it's just a border of black. So it is literally, when you zoom out, it's just scaling to look as if the whole thing's black. So it's just a border around something. So it's got to be higher up than this button spinner. There's got to be something applied higher up to a border brush. So maybe it's above the button spinner and it's in the numerical. Let's go back to our numerical up down, and is it part of this? Yes, there you go. So you can see a border there. Border brush, maybe it's this border brush. Yeah, so if we delete that border brush, the red's bubbling up. And then in here, we've actually changed it, I think, back to that. So maybe we just need to compile now to make that update here. There we go. But I don't know whether we want a border brush at all around there, because you have the text entry and then you have this border. So it's kind of trying to blend them all in. So I think border thickness here just to 0, to be honest. Yeah, so I just think we want just a bit of space here between the buttons now. And where will that be? So the numeric up down is basically a button spinner with the content set inside of the button spinner custom. So the padding needs to happen in the button spinner. And in this button spinner, we have a dock panel with the 2 buttons in a stack panel, and then the content outside. When they set it to left, it simply docks the stack panel to the left. So that makes sense. You can dock the button left or right. So that means we need the padding on the content presenter. So, well, margin. So we'll do a right margin of 10, say. Let's see if that does it. There we go. So we have a nice little, I like that. The buttons look almost separate and non-distracting to the entry here. But let's just make sure as well, when the buttons are on the left, we need to also make sure that works So that will be, where's copies gone? Button spinner location left. So you can see when it's on the left, it's not correct. And for that, let's style inside of the left. So if they've applied left, let's chuck another, it'll have to be a style in here. Select the existing one into the template, into content presenter, and now we can set a property of margin, and we'll change it around. So we'll have the left being, the left being 10, not the right. And there we go. So now we have a numeric up down that works for left and right. And I think that's a nice styling. I like that. So that'll do for us. Now that was a lot more work than I thought just to get a numeric up down. And I think it's now working where I'd want it to. You type something and tab away and it fixes it. And you've got little buttons to set the copies. The only thing I'd probably want to do, to be honest, is personally, I think this is backwards. I'd want the up over here and the down over here. Now, I don't know if that's my personal preference, but that doesn't feel right to me. I feel like the up should be over here. Let's just fix that, and that should be fairly simple. We've got a stack panel with the buttons, and we'll just move the repeat button around. And I don't think anything else I'll need to change. We'll need to probably move the corner radiuses between the two so that they stay correct. And there we go. So now, I'm not sure why they were that way around. Let me know what you guys think. But something is telling me when I've gone up, I want it to be over this side and a down here. To me, that definitely makes more sense than the other way around. So yeah, that's it for this one. We'll do the main items control next. But we now have a bindable control here, and obviously a yes and no that we just need to change to cancel and save. And then we'll have all the UI inside of a little dialog box.